How's it going, guys? This is Blake here, back once again from theavidentries.com with another Shadows Before Dawn reading. We are doing tool number 22 today. I did tool number 21 a couple days ago. I'm going to try and get out 3 total readings this week at the very least, since I've been quite behind lately. And we're so close to being done, so I kind of want to keep up the momentum here. So we're going to jump right into tool number 22. If you missed tool number 21 from a video ago, was Love is Forgiving. That one is up right now on the channel. If you haven't read that one, be sure to check that one out. But we are going to jump into tool number 22, which is letting yourself off the hook of perfection. First section, perfectly imperfect. I'm not going to feed you the cliche that says perfection doesn't exist. No one really knows if perfection exists or not. It may exist, it may not exist, but that's not the point. The point is that if you want to love yourself, you can't keep measuring yourself against standards that were set by self-hate. Perfection is a standard set by self-hate, and we are all subject to its tyranny. When we are little, we come to the conclusion that to be loved, we have to be good. Because we want so badly to be loved, we spend all our energy trying to be good, trying to earn approval, and trying to win other people's good opinions. In short, because we want love, we spend a lot of time trying to be perfect. We don't know how to do anything differently, even though we know that all the efforts we're extending to gain love aren't working. This is how early on we became caught on the hook of seeking perfection. The problem with perfection isn't the idea of perfection in and of itself. It's that we attach our self-worth to the achievement of our idea of perfection. This doesn't work. This just doesn't work because perfection was never meant to be something to measure ourselves against. Perfection isn't something we have seen with our own eyes. It's merely a symbolic idea that self-hate has fallen in love with. Self-hate has figured out that it can use the idea of perfection to keep us chasing a carrot that we can never catch. That is why self-hate is the one that sets the standard of perfection. The only way that it can stay in control and keep us chasing the carrot is if it convinces us that unless we catch that carrot, we are worthless and no one will love us. If perfection is the standard by which you measure yourself, I can guarantee you will never improve enough to meet your own standards. The solution is to ignore the idea of perfection and accept and embrace yourself exactly as you are, right here and now. I'm not talking about embracing your potential or what you could be. I'm talking about embracing and accepting all of you as you are in this very moment. Next section, flaws and all. You've been taught that it's not okay to think how you think and feel how you feel, and that you should not have the flaws that you have. Basically, you have been taught that it is not okay to be to be how you are. So it's understandable why the idea of accepting yourself exactly as you are kind of makes you want to cringe. You've internalized what other people have taught you. Even if you didn't learn this pattern from your parents, human society tends to base value upon how much someone accomplishes or achieves. As a result, you have made other people's approval the basis by which you value and love yourself. When you base your self-concept on external standards, you are vulnerable to the opinions and especially the criticism of others. You have developed an attitude of non-acceptance toward yourself, and now you live your life trying to change everything you don't approve of about yourself. But perfectionism is a self-defeating state of mind. To love yourself, you must stop trying to be who you wish you were, long enough to find out who you really are, and allow your true self to exist in the world. This brings us to the truth about acceptance, a word that holds different meanings for different people. Some of these meanings are beneficial, others are detrimental. On the positive side of this word, acceptance is the idea of making peace with what is. When you are fighting against something, thereby not accepting it, you are introducing friction into your life by trying to push against something you cannot get rid of. Any attention you pay to it just reinforces it instead of eradicating it. However, to accept is to let go of resistance, thereby allowing your focus to attend only to what you do want in your life experience. Very interesting. That's interesting. However, to accept is to let go of resistance, thereby allowing your focus to attend only to what you do want in your life experience. True acceptance does not mean settling for, tolerating. True acceptance does not mean settling for, tolerating, enabling, or validating. It simply means to practice unconditional love by releasing yourself from negative focus and discontinuing the combat against anything which only keeps it in your life. It is of paramount importance to accept where you are and who you are. It is also paramount importance to accept where other people are and who other people are. Though it always feels fabulous to be accepted by others, this is not the key to happiness. This is why having a desire for acceptance from others means you are experiencing a lack of acceptance for yourself. When you do not accept yourself or others, you cannot experience other people accepting you. You are not a vibrational match to it. A key ingredient to self-love is healthy acceptance of yourself and others. If you have acceptance for yourself and others, you will not desire acceptance from anyone. You will not need it. Next section, personal acceptance. To accept yourself means to receive yourself with an attitude of approval. If you have been living according to the standard of perfection, comparing yourself to people that you think are better than you, you have been approached up until now with an attitude of disapproval. Developing an attitude of self-approval takes practice. You need to find ways to withdraw focus off of things that cause you to feel as if you are not good enough and place your focus on things that make you feel as if you are good enough. You can start on this process today. Get out a piece of paper and write this sentence down as many times as you can, filling in the blank. I approve of blank about myself. When you read over your list of statements, did it teach you anything about yourself? How do you feel when you focus on what you approve of about yourself instead of what you don't approve of about yourself? We can't be focused on what we don't approve of about someone and still love them at the same time. So, of course, we can't focus on what we don't approve of about ourselves and love about ourselves at the same time. But we can help ourselves start off our day with an attitude of approval towards ourselves with this next exercise. Write down the sentence on a piece of paper and post it in your bed in plain view. I approve of blank. Before you get out of bed in the morning, make yourself fill in the blank with something you approve of about yourself. For example, I approve of my incredibly good sense of style. Imagine how good it would feel if you woke up in the morning and the first thing someone did was express their approval of you. Instead of waiting for the rest of your life for someone else to come along and do that, you're going to do it for yourself. Next section, overcoming the pressure of perfection. Those of us who are perfectionists are Olympic caliber self-saboteurs. We like to set cruel goals for ourselves. We set goals where failure is inevitable, not because the goal is in and of itself impossible to reach, but because the way we go about trying to reach it and the standards and timelines we set for achieving it causes us to break down. Too often, we pick goals that require so much effort and are so difficult to achieve that our minds and bodies suffer breakdowns to try to prevent us from killing ourselves. The constant pressure to achieve perfection reduces our productivity, and when we fail to meet our goals because they are ridiculous in the first place, we blame and criticize ourselves even more and decide that we must be worthless. But really, there is nothing wrong with how our lives are unfolding, and we are certainly not worthless. In fact, there is nothing wrong with the world. This is difficult to understand when we get hung up on resistant ideas, such as people shouldn't be starving. But like the rest of us, the world is also engaged in a process of mastery. But on your way to mastery, don't keep resisting the imperfections in yourself and others, because that is what is inspiring us all towards excellence. We can allow our vision to define what we want within ourselves and within the world, and then move towards that wider personal vision because of the sheer joy of experiencing advancement. This awareness is important for those of us who do have large visions, so that we don't continue to measure ourselves against impossible standards and a warped state of perfection. Our high ideals and visions can be like beacons that call us towards our desires, as long as they don't become the standards we judge ourselves by. Perfectionism can be a form of self-abuse. When you are expecting perfection from yourself, you are applying an incredible pressure to yourself. When you experience self-hate in the form of perfectionism, even the information in this book can be used to abuse you. For example, you may read this book and turn self-love into an ideal to measure yourself against. You may then proceed to get upset with yourself whenever you do something that is not self-loving. Self-hate is yet another form of resistance. If we experience self-hate and resist that experience of self-hate, we are not doing, all we are doing is resisting our own resistance. All we are doing is saying, I shouldn't be where I am, which, as you know, tends to keep you stuck where you are. In order to love yourself, you need to begin practicing a new mantra. I am where I am. Instead of resisting where you are, you embrace it, you own it, you just accept where you are and go in the direction you want to go in again. This last concept is especially important when it comes to addiction relapses. Some of us may have developed addictions as a result of trying to escape ourselves and our current realities. If we shame ourselves for having a relapse, we have done nothing but dig ourselves deeper into a hole. If we have been doing something one way for a long time, expecting ourselves to do something else and do it perfectly is just plain cruel. So we hope you can see now that self-love is not about expecting the idealized standard of perfection from yourself. It's about loving yourself in any way you can right now. When you do that, you start to recognize the perfection of the current you, the you who is always in the process of progression and mastery. The sculptor not only loves the finished pot once it's thrown and fired, The sculptor loves the pot when the pot is still just a potential. The sculptor loves the pot when it is nothing more than cold and balanced clay against his or her hands. If you have practiced self-hate for many years, you have mastered it as an art form. It will obviously take step-by-step practice and lots of it to turn self-love into your art form instead. Along the way, you will have mistakes. You will have moments and even days when you revert to the old familiar self-hate. But those regressions aren't wrong. They are a necessary part of your process of learning to love yourself. Don't condemn them. Just find anything self-loving to think or do from wherever you are and get back on track. Next section. Understanding the layers of love. Get out a piece of paper and draw a spiral. Now draw a horizontal line from the center of the spiral to its outer edge. You can see that if you trace the spiral from the inside out with your finger, you can keep running into the same line every time you trace a full rotation. But you also notice that as the spiral gets bigger and bigger, it takes more time to get from the point where you hit that line to the next point when you hit the line. Improvement always works in this way. As time goes by, you keep reaching new layers of improvement relative to a subject. You may have kept hitting the line when you trace that spiral with your finger, but the times when you hit the line became fewer and farther between the farther away you got from the epicenter of the spiral. When you began reading this book, it was like you were in the epicenter of this spiral. As you began learning more about self-love and practicing it, tracing the spiral outward, you no doubt continue to run into some barricades of self-hate, the line. But as you progress, the time and space between each barricade also increases until one day you will not experience them at all. Don't think of these times when you experience another layer of self-hate as a regression. Even though that is what they feel like, it's not what they are. You are simply running into more expensive layers of self-hate that have to be healed. If you accept them as they come and move past them by taking the next logical step toward self-hate from wherever you are at that time, then you will experience a day when there are no more layers to run into. I hope this example convinces you to give yourself a break. Realize that universally there is no such thing as right or wrong. So you can't ever get life wrong even if you try. Any choice you make can be seen as a necessary part of your expansion, and the universe is an eternal process of expansion. As part of this universe, you too are in an eternal process of expansion, so you can't ever get it all done. When you realize these two things, life ceases to be about the goal and how fast you can reach that goal. It is then about the process of progression and how fun that process is. Life is then about joy. So love yourself and let yourself off the hook of perfection. Let yourself enjoy whatever you can about the steps between the point where you are now and what you desire for your future. It will come to you in time once you truly embrace the process and journey towards self-love. Alright, so that was a pretty lengthy one. A very good tool for sure. A very good chapter. I almost want to go back and reread this one. This is another one. I know there have been a couple of these so far that I've read that I've said I really want to go back and like review for sure. The whole self-acceptance thing is like honestly a huge deal, especially for like very hella hard self-critics like myself. Like this topic always hits home, and I'm always like, I really should pay attention to this stuff. I really should go back and read it. So this in particular, I definitely will probably go back and read. And honestly, I feel like this is something that can relate to a lot of people in general. And even the next one here, Embracing Mistakes, is probably going to be a huge one. So that's going to be tool number 23. It's a pretty lengthy one as well. That's going to be our next one. I'm going to try and get that one recorded on Friday this week. So that should be out in a couple days. A couple days from when I'm recording this one. So anyway, if you guys enjoyed this one, please drop a like on the video. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do so you don't miss out on the future readings for these next several ones we have before we finish out the book. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Take care.